whoa, Learning to fly a drone is not easy. Oh, that's bad. But when I went to Berlin's International Tech Show, I saw a live demo of this drone. The premise? It practically flies itself. It's almost completely automated, but it also offers full control too if you want it. This is the HoverAir X1 Pro Max, and it's got a lot of appealing properties. I'm Erin from Tech Gadgets International, and what drew me to this drone, aside from the set it and forget it promise, is that it's also billed as ultra tough, and yes, even after a bunch of crashes, it is still going strong. In this review, I've spent about 4 months with this video camera drone. This is the first ever drone that I've tried, so not only did I have to learn how it works, but how to pilot it, how to record, how to use it correctly, and both the manual operation and the automatic flight modes that come with it. I'll take you through all of it from a newcomer's perspective and show you the kind of footage you're going to get with this flying camera. I'll wrap things up with both the pros and the cons of this device so you can see if it might be right for you. I would like to say thank you to HoverAir for sending me the drone at no charge. Even though the company supplied it, it didn't have any input into my review. So what are you getting with this product? This is a video drone capable of 4K and 8K video recording, face tracking, and some limited auto-following capabilities, and both automated and manual flight. It can also shoot vertical video and take still photos. Worth pointing out early is that you only get about 16 minutes of charge from a single battery, so this device is made for using in short bursts, not for capturing a bird's eye view of a 4-hour hike. I want to reiterate, I'm reviewing this drone from a newcomer perspective too. I'm not a drone enthusiast and I can't compare this to other brands. HoverAir though has made some pretty bold claims about the X1 Pro Max as the perfect hands-free solution that requires no technical background or prior piloting experience, making me the ideal test subject. HoverAir sent me both the X1 drone and some accessories. The beacon and joystick bundle is another controller, which we'll get to. Now, inside the hardshell transport case, you'll find the battery charging dock with one battery, plus a plug, as well as the HoverAir X1 Pro Max drone itself, with a second removable battery already installed. The other thing you may want is your phone and the HoverAir app, which is necessary for setting it up, and you can also use it for remotely operating your aircraft. The HoverAir X1 Pro Max here is actually pretty impressively light and compact. It weighs just under about 193 grams, which is 7 ounces. Now, when you fold it up, you can literally fit this in a small pocket. There's a strong magnet here that will help to hold it closed, which is kind of convenient. And when you unfold it, it's about 7 inches at its widest. You can see the 4 propellers in here. They're enclosed in that hyper elastic cage frame that I mentioned, and it actually feels flexible and yet still durable and substantial. Let's talk about the cameras. There are actually 3 camera lenses on here. The main camera lens, which is right here, is on a movable gimbal. So it moves 2 ways across the front of the device here, and it'll shoot in both 4K or up to 8K video resolution if you want that. It's also got a 107-degree field of view, pretty wide field of view, and it also will do things like stabilize your video, and it has automatic horizon leveling, which is hugely handy if you're a new pilot, and it should also give you smooth, professional-looking shots even if it is kind of windy or out. Now, you'll notice there are 2 other cameras on here. There's one here on the belly, and there's another one here on the rump on the backside. These are strictly for positioning and collision avoidance. These lenses don't actually record. There is 64 gig of storage built into the drone itself. Now, if you want to add more than that, there's a micro SD card slot right here, and it can take a card up to 1 terabyte. Now, one caveat in case you are considering getting a drone, it's actually really hard to find places you can legally use one. A lot of cities will say you can't use them within municipal boundaries, and many federal and provincial parks also ban them. It's also good to look up what the drone regulations are in your area before you mash the add to cart button. In fact, one of the harder things about doing this review was actually finding places that I wasn't going to get in trouble for using the drone. I'll give you just a taste of some of the footage you can get both indoors and out. I was really excited to use the HoverAir X1 Pro Max to get footage of a car I was reviewing recently. I quickly found out, though, there's no automated option for getting footage of vehicles while they're in motion. All of the automated flight modes here focus on people or bicycles, meaning I couldn't just get in the car and drive and have the drone follow me. The simplest way actually to use the drone is to just insert the battery and push and hold the button on top of the drone to power it on. Once it cycles up and plays 3 tones, the voice will tell you the current mode, and you'll also see it displayed on the tiny LED screen on top. Now, in these automated modes, you don't need a phone, joystick, beacon, or anything, just you. Pressing the ring to the left or to the right allows you to cycle between the different modes, and once you've chosen which mode you want, quickly push the button on top of the drone and it'll count down and then take off from the palm of your hand. When it's time to access your footage, you can grab it in 2 ways. If you're using a micro SD card in the drone, you can just pop that out and use an adapter to transfer it to a laptop, or you'll need to power on your drone and connect to the HoverAir app to download wirelessly to your smartphone. Let's take a look at each of the flight modes and what it shoots for you. Let's start with zoom out mode. Worth noting is that the camera is only going to record footage while it's making the specific movement. So in this case, as it's zooming away from me, as it's pulling back, it's recording that whole movement. But by the time we get to the end of this movement here, it's actually going to stop recording. Hover mode just lets the drone take off and hover in front of you, which can be a good option if you want to stand and deliver lines to camera. And as you can see, if you do move, it'll still try to keep your face centered. With any mode, you can add voice recording, but as you'll see, it's not perfect and synchronization can be a big problem. Follow mode is a good mode for beginners or starting out because the camera can follow you itself using both facial and body recognition at a set distance. Now, you can customize that distance, but as you can see, even if I try to step away, it's keeping that distance, which is great. So you can customize that distance, like I say. You can also customize the height if you want it low, medium, or high to follow you. And despite the wind I've got going on here today, it seems relatively stable. It's easy to follow me, whether I'm walking away from the camera or facing it. It knows where I'm going, and it's able to get some pretty remarkable shots. Now, as you heard, the audio does strip out the propeller noise, so big props for that, but it can sound glitchy and the sync is an issue. Hover actually recommends you use a third-party app to realign the audio and video, which is a big pain, but I'm going to fix it here so you can see for the next example. Related is indoor follow mode for shooting indoors, and here it uses extra algorithms for obstacle avoidance, plus the belly and the rear cams to help it get through tight spaces like the hallways here in my house. Now, as you can see from some of the rocking motion, it's got a bit of something weird going on. Now, it actually looks a lot more motion forward in person. It looks like it's really waving the camera. But in the final product, I think you're going to see a lot less motion than you might expect. There's orbit mode, which lets the drone fly in a 360-degree circle around the subject in a single pass, and you can set both the distance and the height for this. If you want to take that a step further, there's spiral mode, which both lifts and circles the aircraft around a central point. It looks pretty cool and makes for some pretty dynamic footage, particularly outdoors. I also used the HoverAir X1 and spiral mode to get some pretty cool shots of a car I was reviewing where I brought my sister Kaylee along. And if you want to check out my thoughts on the Toyota Grand Highlander Hybrid Max, that full video review is right here on the channel. Bird's Eye will launch the X1 straight up at a height you determine, and it'll basically just hover there, providing a bird's eye view. Related to that is 360 spin mode, and with this you can set the height to low, medium, or high. It'll fly up, hover, and slowly turn around in a circle. This is great for panoramic landscape shots. You can also use the HoverAir X1 PROMAX to mimic the dolly track, dolly zoom, or so-called vertigo effect, which combines movement and zoom, letting the drone fly forwards or back while keeping the subject in the center of the frame. If you're biking or skiing, the X1 PROMAX has dedicated modes for those activities. As long as you keep your speed below 42 kilometers an hour or 26 miles per hour, the X1 PROMAX here will continue to follow your bike around. Ski mode works similarly. Snapshot, which is another feature, allows the X1 PROMAX to take up to 48 megapixel photos. Now that you've seen the automations, let's talk about using manual flight. I really had a difficult time operating the drone in manual mode with my smartphone in particular. That was actually the first thing I tried when I got the drone because I had that car I was reviewing and I was really counting on getting some epic aerial footage. But every time I would pair the phone with the drone and try to pilot it, I would just get constant disconnection errors. That, combined with the fact the batteries only give you about 13 minutes of life, meant that I was really only able to capture a couple minutes of footage manually because of those problems. Now, I wasn't sure why it wouldn't work for me, so I set the drone aside for a few weeks and did more research. Eventually, I was able to figure it out, but I had much better luck using the phone as a remote inside the house where there was Wi-Fi. I constantly struggled to use this outdoors, so I just opted instead for either automated flight or using the joystick when outdoors. Next up, I wanted to try the manual control using the joystick, so I want to show you a little bit about the joystick here. This is essentially a 3-piece bundle that allows you to control the drone strictly from the joystick. You don't need your phone for this. So let's take a look at how to set it up. This is what's called the beacon. It's kind of the central bundle. It does need recharging and power. I'll get it turned on here. And you will want to connect it to your drone. And so once you power this up, it will prompt you to add your device, and it should ask to pair with it, which this is doing.
Current mode, dolly track.
And it's connected. Brilliant. So now if you do want to just use this as a single joystick, you can add one of the controllers. And these, by the way, are labeled left and right. So if you're going to use them both in a joystick style, you do need to make sure they're on the right sides. But if you want, you can just use the single controller like
Manual
so,
control.
And add one of your little joystick wands here, and update that later. And then you can just control like this. Now, if you want a bit more, you can connect the other joystick and then use these to kind of give you that more game style controller. Interestingly, there's both a microphone and a speaker in the beacon. That means you can use it to record your camera audio.
The beacon will automatically start recording audio when you hit the record button. And while it will record the sound closest to you, it's going to merge that track with the video recording so that you can hear yourself talking even if the X1 is really far away. That makes the X1 ideal to use for wide or cinematic shots while still capturing audio. And it also means your voice isn't going to be drowned out from the noise from the drone.
Trouble is, I found that about half the time there was just no audio recorded at all. The X1 PROMAX uses a 1920 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery, which can give you up to about 16 minutes of flight time. Now, with 2 batteries in my kit, I could get around 30 minutes of total use. But because the actual runtime can vary depending on your flying mode, the video resolution, temperature, and wind, having that extra battery for swapping can prove helpful so you can continue flying while your other battery charges. The HoverAir X1 ProMax is certainly in an interesting category. It's both easy to use in automated flight modes, and it can be incredibly complex in manual mode. As a content creator, I used it for everything from robot vacuum reviews to car videos and even a house tour.
I think it does quite the job of straddling both novice and pro niches. But if I do have one piece of advice for you, it's that you absolutely need to take the time to understand and use the X1 well before you have anything important to shoot. This drone does so much, and it is so configurable, adjustable, modular, changeable, everything else. You can operate it in so many different ways. It is almost maybe too much. Let's go over both the pros and the cons so you can see if it might be right for you.
On the pro side, it's incredibly small, very lightweight, and ruggedly durable. I appreciate the fact it boasts both onboard storage and the ability to add a micro SD card. Using the automated flight modes is incredibly easy, and it doesn't really require your phone, joystick, or other complicated knowledge, making it easy to capture simple footage. But if you want to take it to another level, you can get very complicated with it, whether you use your phone or the joystick for manual flight. The video is quite good quality, and while I mostly stuck to 4K, 8K videos available. I also appreciate the fact it comes with 2 batteries and a transport case. So what are the potential downsides? There's definitely a steep learning curve, and I call that a downside not because it's a problem with the device, but it is a consideration you need to factor in when buying it. Don't expect to open the box and be making cinematic creations instantly unless, of course, you've got experience. I also found the app to be a bit complex to navigate, and I dealt with many disconnections when I was trying to fly it manually outside of the house using my smartphone. I also think the battery life is pretty short.
In short, I fully understand I am the weak link in this chain, and that the more I use this device, the better I'm going to get at it. I'm already feeling a lot better about it a couple months on, and with a lot of practice and, if I'm being honest, a lot of failures. I think it's a fascinating device, and I really love the automated flight modes for capturing really cool footage that I will continue to use this drone for in the coming months. So watch for some of that footage in other video reviews. And if you'd like to see an update in 6 months or so, be sure and let me know in the comments. Meantime, if there is a review you would like to see on pretty much anything, let me know, and check out what else I'm working on right now.